Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 11th of August to the 17th of August. Okay, first for the video that I agree thought was not good. Ooh! And it's actually from a year ago I don't even know when the video came out. Very fairly recently. You may have seen it in your sub box, but you're like, wait, that's not a video that came out this week then. You're right. There is a video that technically came out this week, but this is just a placeholder for me to talk about it because God. So this is a shit post from What the What. This video is not what's not good. I'm just putting this because this is the only one that this week was. This is talking about Plague of Gripes' Naruto video from a year or two ago. This shitpost is funny though. This shitpost is commenting on one of the things. So okay, context. This week I popped into a stream, a celebratory stream for Vindy, reaching 500 followers on Twitch, I think, and 500 subs on. There's a 500 sub celebration thing, and to celebrate, Vindy, What the What, Craftsdorf, Numanji. There might have been one other person. I'm not totally sure, but I think it was those four. But I'm sorry if I missed somebody. Fifth person. Hi. I'm sorry. But I know at least those four guys were in the call together, and on Twitch, they watched Plague of Gripes' Naruto video. Naruto the Self-Made Hypocrite, I think is the name of the title. I don't bother. I'm not going to link it to you. I would rather link this shitpost to you than have any chance of giving that guy attention or views. Oh my god, that video is so bad. I was impressed. I was actually I was very tired by the end of this 5-hour stream of them watching the video and pausing every 5 seconds, talking for 10 or 15, upwards of 20 minutes maybe not that long, I guess, but think of a 40. It's a 42-minute video, and we talked about it it took us 5 hours to go through the whole thing, because that's how often they were pausing and talking about it. Okay. Oh my god. So this shitpost is referring to this moment where Plague of Gripes talks about, I've not seen Naruto. I knew this was a shitty video, and not even to see Naruto before. Okay. But the reason it was so long was because Vindy and all these other guys were talking about it in the context of Naruto, how he's wrong because this isn't what Naruto is actually about, or he's just wrong on information generally. But just the craft on display as well is god awful. I'm really mad. But this is referring to a moment where he mentions a character. He's one of the first characters in Naruto in episode 1. He helps Naruto thing, and he has some attributes to Naruto, some similarities, a little bit. And Plague of Gripes makes this claim that he's basically Naruto. He's Naruto, and then he lists several characters, or I guess the guy is referring to Naruto, and he's like, but which Naruto? There's this Naruto, this Naruto, this Naruto. And he lists several characters in the series that are basically Naruto because they share some similarities with each other. And so this shitpost from What the What is just he's Naruto, I'm Naruto. And putting a headband on Superman and Batman and Applejack and all the everyone's Naruto. It's awful, man. Oh no. But yeah, God. He Plague of Gripes reveals himself to be racist, although I think it's a little more Orientalist than I would say racist. It's the weird Japanese. Oh my god. But also a little ableist, because I think he claims Naruto has a spectrum disorder, I think is how he phrased it. And he said, and I think he says he has a spectrum disorder because he's stupid. The Naruto is stupid, therefore he must have fucking autism or something. Are you kidding me? And this dude got has nearly 2 million views on this video. 1.8 million. After maybe about a year. By the end of this year, he'll probably have 2 million on this video. And this is like a well-received video too. Like 64,000 likes, only like 14,000 dislikes. Like, oh no. It was really bad, dude. And that isn't even beginning. Like, if you're a fan of Naruto, you'd probably... Oh. So, like, I didn't want to watch this video. I kind of had vibes. I think if you've been on YouTube a while and you see the title and thumbnail, you're like, I don't want to click on that. You may have seen it in your sub box, actually, because it was in mine. I remember, and I didn't want to click on it. And so the only way I was going to actually to digest this video was to watch someone else's stream watch it. And it was honestly kind of exhausting by the end of it. In part because of Plague of Gripes' video, but also because Vindy kept drinking alcohol. And so by the last hour, he was sloshed. And everyone on stream was like, please play the video. And he kept talking about like Kishimoto's a genius and shit. It's like, oh, we get it. And like you can tell like everyone who's like on the voice chat with him is really tired of like, please just play the video. But like, it was still a fun time. It was still cool. And everyone was very nice in there, you know, not toxic or whatever. It was nice hanging out with those guys. It was a good time. And I think the VOD itself was recorded. So we'll see if that ever comes out. Or like gets maybe a highlights. I don't know. It was really fun though. Everyone in the chat's really cool too. There were some not so cool people, but yeah, what can you do? It's Twitch, right? But I just wanted to talk about that. Also because when they made this video, they're like, you gotta talk about it on Digest. I'm like, yeah, sure. But this video is not reflecting of me giving what the what and not good. That is not what's happening here. You can take this out of context all you want. It is not the case. But it's just for me to give I don't want to possibly imply that Plague of Gripes' video is in any way decent. Like, I felt like I would feel wrong giving the video like even a shit post with his face on it a decent. I would hate that. No, it's against my fucking moral code, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god. I don't even want to like recommend. I guess I can keep repeating myself, but jeez. Anyway, a fun stream, Vindy. Congratulations on your success so far. But I do have a video that I gotta say I was disappointed in. I went into it looking pretty optimistic, especially because I was watching this series and like thinking about, not a lot of people really talk about it, like as a whole, because it is pretty intimidating to do. But who else but the AnimeHERO to take up that mantle? And I think he was the perfect choice for it. He's talked about Lupin for a long time. He seems to have seen all of it, or at least most of it, which is great. Most I can ask for, really. And this is the Lupin the Third anime retrospective and review. And yeah, no, I was actually really disappointed in it. As someone who has been watching through Lupin, I'm like halfway through part 2. I've already seen part 1, 4, and 5, and probably a third of the specials, maybe half. I think more of a third, closer to a third. I mean, there are over 40 of them. I think my main problem with this video was just that like these are 4 videos stitched together, and it's not really a retrospective and review to me. Yes, it covers the entire show pretty holistically, but it doesn't go title by title. Like when you go into a retrospective like this, you'd thinking he's going to talk about all of them. He doesn't really. He kind of very talks holistically, and it could work. And I think even the thumbnail shows you like these are definitely 4 separate videos, and I think each of them on their own seem pretty okay. But especially if you're branding this as a retrospective and you couch all of it in this took me forever to make or whatever, and he's like, this has mixes of recordings from 2017 and then recordings of 2020. And you have parts of the video where he's like, yeah, part 4 is, it's not great. And then he makes these claims that like, I don't really like where Lupin is going and everything, and then without the context of part 5, and he loves part 5, and then he's like, and he makes a point very clearly, and thank God he does, because otherwise I'd been very confused, like utterly confused, because he's just contradicting himself in this video where it's like, yeah, I saw part 5, it's really great, I love it, and this is recording from me in 2020 versus me in 2017 where I'm making these points and stuff, and it's like, why didn't you record it? Any of it? Like, if there's parts in your video that are dated and you're releasing it now, why? What are you doing? It was really weird to me, especially as it's like I'm taking this very long time making this big video, and if there's something wrong or missing that I say in a previous part of this Gurren Lagann video that I edited and quote unquote finished in April or May or whatever I did, I think it was technically May that I finished part 1. If there's something in part 1 I have to fix to the point where I'm re-recording it, I'll re-record it. I mean, I get the idea of like maybe there's uneven voice performances and that can be a little immersion breaking, but especially if it's really important and that's going to improve your video and not make it feel like a little contradictory and all over the place, I think it's an improvement. I think that would have been the appropriate effort to make. And I was following him on Twitter, and he was working on this video replacing all of the part 2 footage he had in the video with updated visuals, like remastered footage, like better footage. So he clearly seems to care enough to do that. I don't know why he didn't re-record stuff or even go so far as to rewrite things, you know? I get holding on to your baby or whatever. You really like the way you recorded this thing, and that was me for a long time. There's a lot of my videos are like that. I'm telling you this as someone who learned from that, and it's like, man, I should have re-recorded it. I shouldn't have been lazy and just do that. I'm not to outright call you as lazy in any way, really, because it's still a whole effort and project, and it's still huge. It's huge endeavor to talk about Lupin like this. I just don't think you did it all the way justice for me. One thing I did like, but I don't know if it went all the way with it for me, was the section where you talked about all the five characters and their kind of role in the story. I think you mostly got them correct in terms of describing them and their place in it and their origins and kind of what they're about. But I really so the thing I liked about that part was at the end of each character, except for Lupin you didn't do this with, unfortunately. I don't know why. Maybe because he's the main character, I don't know. But you gave a list of recommended episodes and recommended specials to really, he's really good in this special, because they are all over the place. When it's like, there's some specials where like Jigen, for example, or Goemon isn't so prevalent in this special compared to other characters, and it's sometimes very uneven. So I like that you list some of the specials. Like if you like Jigen, he's really good in this, and this, and this, and this. Or these specific episodes that center on him. Like I imagine you recommend, I didn't really go so far into it to like find which episodes of part 2 you talked about. But the thing that's coming to my mind is that episode in part 2 where Jigen it's mostly just him and this one girl, and he's trying to escort her out of the country. I think she's an opera singer, and she, betrays him and whatever. That's a really great episode for him. And I would imagine that, it's really great to recommend those isolated episodes in such a massive franchise. So I really like that you did that for almost every character. But, my problem isn't necessarily that you didn't do it with Lupin, although I'm disappointed you didn't. For me, it was like, you really could have used those examples, like these specific points, and really bring them up and be like, a notable example is this episode where this happened. And I think you kind of do that in some places, but it wasn't specific enough for me to really have as much of an impact and be like, okay, yeah. And man, it was just like, something's coming to mind right now. You mentioned that First Contact is the best starting place for Lupin like 3 or 4 times in the video. I get repetition, gives more emphasis, but that was just one too many times for me. Especially since, your conclusion at the end was more like, it's encouraged to start at any point because you can. There really isn't any origin or canon for Lupin, and you can start at any point. But it was just a little contradictory to me that you would have this ultimate point and this ultimate kind of conclusion, I guess. And then several times in the video, like 3 or 4 times, they like start with first contact, which is like, yeah, I guess that's a good starting point, but it was just weird to me for that play. I love your defense of part 3. Thank you. I was worried that you weren't all that hot on it because the way you described Lupin towards the beginning, where you definitely prefer him being a little more gritty, a little more violent, being willing to kill people. I don't necessarily know if that was something that was outright missing in a lot of Lupin in part 2 and the rest of it, like kind of the quote unquote like goofy Lupin or kind of like more kind-hearted stuff. Certainly it's absent in a lot of it, but it's not gone. It's not like, I don't know, it wasn't enough for me to make that observation myself, like, oh, he's not killing anyone. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It also, like, I think it just helps with, like, you know, with ratings and stuff. I can imagine that was the direction they went with. Because, and you say it in the video, like, part 1, it was like that, and nobody was liking it, so they switched it, and it was more successful, and they were able to make this big part 2 series. And that was such and I think that popularity, like it or not, contributed to the reason why we still have Lupin every year, and why we got the Fujiko Mine series. The thing you like, right? I think, like, if you kept the longevity, eventually we'll be able to get stuff like this, but, a lot of other older IPs, either they don't get anything at all, or they might get something like Mazen Kaiser or Get a Roper Armageddon, and that's great. That's rare though. Like, you're not getting that stuff for. Have we gotten anything for fucking Kyoji no Hoshi yet? Even though it was very important, right? But we got Megalobox for Rush no Joe, right? Thank God, not a remake. Oh my God. Ugh. God. No, but you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know where I was going with that. I think it's like, it has an importance to the franchise, and it's not all that big of a negative point, I suppose. But where I was, I think when I started with saying that was, I'm sorry if this is so much backhanded compliments, because they are, because stuff like I really had problems with, I guess. But part 3, I was very happy you didn't have a very typical fuck part 3, it's too cartoony kind of take. Like, it was actually really nice. I was like, no, you were like, it's actually a very healthy mix of the gritty crime stuff and kind of the seriousness of Lupin with the goofy stuff of part 2. It finds that very good balance, and I'm like, that's great. And you know, I think it also, I won't bring my personal opinion of Lupin into this, I don't think. But let's just say I do definitely disagree on a couple of tastes. Like, and you mentioned this in the video, which is another positive take on it, where you're like, it's another positive take of that you have here, where you say that everybody has their favorites and everyone's can be different, and there's a lot of lists of like the best Lupin and what you should watch and stuff like that, and you didn't agree with a lot of them, and ultimately you need to watch it for yourself and form your own opinion, and I think that's great. And you're absolutely right, because, like, you seemed very lukewarm to Cagliostro. I was noted I don't know if you like it that much, man. Like, you said it wasn't boring. You're like, the worst Lupin's a boring Lupin. I fantastically agree with that, too. And you're like, the only two that I found boring with these two. And I'm like, okay, so not Cagliostro. Even though you do sound very mid towards it. Which, like, yeah, I guess that's fair. A lot of people, like, I think Cagliostro specifically very, very much divides people, Lupin fans. Although it was weird that you think Cagliostro is the one that started this TV special formula of like the girl, like the side girl that isn't Fujiko and everything, and it's not developing the Fujiko romance and stuff like that. And it's like, because you can only do that so many times before you're like, what are we doing here? You know, is she just are they just gonna will they won't they the whole time? You know, I think it was important for them to do stuff separate from Fujiko and still have her in it and still have him have the hots for her and everything. But there really is so many. It's sparingly. I think you have to do that very sparingly. Otherwise, it's very frustrating, I think. Case in point, Mystery of Mamo, it wasn't really the first. That was kind of, since that was the first Lupin movie, that did a lot more establishing of the long term, like the long form Lupin, I think, in terms of its structure. In terms of like this, like the argument that the Lupin special, like Cagliostro started this trend of Lupin specials having an extended cast and that aren't regular, but like he's saving the girl and stuff. That's in every Lupin episode, not every Lupin episode, but that they are extensively structured the same way as a typical Lupin episode, where there's a new character that's kind of introduced into the mix, right? And it's just a longer version of it, I don't know if it's necessarily something that Cagliostro was responsible for or something like that. But now you seem very lukewarm to it, but it's okay because you seem to really like Mamo, and I did not. I actually just watched it last night as recording this video because I was or 2 nights ago. Yeah, it was like 2 nights ago. Yeah, I rewatched it after like my first watch with a friend of mine. We were watching and we're like, it's good visual, it's really cool visuals sometimes, but God, I don't want to go into it though. We can have our differences, and I really like that you bring that up, and it's completely true. Would it be? But yeah, ultimately though, I wish this was taken a little more with a little more care, and there was plenty of care here. Like I totally respect you for replacing the part 2 footage you had with better footage. That shit's great. I love that. Like I did that with fucking Daitarn 3 in my Gurren Lagann video. I was using the really shitty standard definition footage and realized I had an HD re-release, and I was like, oh fuck, that looks so good, and replaced all the footage. I'm totally with you there. Highly respect it. Now that this video wasn't lazy, it was regrettable to me that you mixed older recordings and you couldn't quite get the words, and there's some contradictory stuff. I don't know. There's some downsides to this. I've voiced my talk about it plenty, I think. But yeah, I still really respect you for what you do, and I'm happy you got Lupin covered the way that you have. It's good shit. Okay, let me talk about videos that I thought were decent. Pretty good. Yotsu is a channel that I've been subbed for a while, but they were not active for a long time. They had like a 7-month break. I think they said it was like, it was my inactive schedule rip. I didn't mean to. It was more like I'm just kind of starved for ideas. It's like, okay, at least they're not like, they don't seem like burnt out, quote unquote. They're just kind of meh. That's nice. But this is a video called, it was just Mellow Soul Dream Texture. So like they titled the video with the song that they use and the artist. So I think the artist is Mellow Soul and the song is Dream Textures. That's all they do with it. This is pretty much their channel, and they match it with whatever footage they like. And I love this one that they have with Junkers Come Home. And here they're doing it with the Escaflowne movie, and they're like, it's really good visuals. It's kind of, it has really good visuals. The fucking Escaflowne movie take. That's so funny. No, but like, yeah, I imagine. But really great editing, very clean, very reserved, very not trying to be a lot of funky effects and not playing with it too much, but like very tasteful, always very good music selection. It's very simple stuff, but I just wanted to use this opportunity to shout this channel out because I really like them. I like what they make, and I could watch a bunch of their videos probably. And I also really like that like they're using pretty obscure titles, all things considered. Like if they use this, I saw that they used footage from Peak the Whale, Fly Peak the Whale, which is like this movie that only just got subbed like a month or 2 ago. Maybe it's not been that long, but within the year, very recently got subbed. And they used it before it got subbed, I think. I think they had been using footage from the opening scene of that movie, tying it into one of their music videos. And so it's like they're recommending stuff that's really underground and like, oh, what is that? That looks so cool. It's my shit, dude. I like that shit, dude. I love it. So it's just wanted to shout it out. It's kind of a small thing, but neat. I dig. Ginkotaku put out Reflections and Introspections. Oh, that's a good title. Paradise Kiss. Talking about Paradise Kiss and the main character. To be honest, I've watched a lot of videos, and then like this was like hours ago. Shit. The one thing that really stuck out to me is what Ginkotaku I think is always very good at is relating it back to himself, and talking about how everyone has these expectations of you, and you don't necessarily want to meet those or that those expectations are not who you are. And there's actually another video later I'll talk about. It was OniMaru's video that kind of does a similar subject, I think, of people's expectations and you fulfilling them or not fulfilling them, and how you deal with that. And ultimately, the point really is like you have to be your own person, otherwise you're not really anything but an idea or an image, which can't last, which is very surface level. It doesn't last very long. It's not authentic. So, and then ultimately, it's not gonna lend you much happiness in the end. Is kind of what I was coming from with what Ginkotaku was saying. So yeah, I really like that he's talked about Paradise Kiss. He also talked about Princess Jellyfish last time. I guess he's on a josei kick. Very nice, very good niche, my guy. Looking forward to more of them. Maybe Nana next. Hey. Get your soul fucking crushed. Yay. Holy shit. But yeah, good shit, dude. Sorry, I don't have too much else to say about it. But yeah, it's good shit, dude. AlexEnterprises is talking about Kaiji in defense of Kaiji's nose, which I think he's exaggerating a little bit in the thumbnail. But hey, exaggeration's the name of the game. As he describes here. I was really liking the kind of the design analysis here, and ultimately digging into why the characters are designed this way, and really kind of extrapolating it to the themes of the show as a whole, and kind of the ugliness of the characters, and the sharpness, or the kind of reflecting very subtly in those ways. Again, this was a while ago that I watched. I should have recorded this sooner, or just rewatched some stuff, but like. I was a fool today. I was such a fool. But I really dug it. I was happy that he talked about Kaiji in a more aesthetic way. I also like that you seem to have read a little bit into the manga. You were showing some part 3 footage, quote unquote, with the pachinko footage, and you seem to know who Kazuya is. So fuck yeah, Kazuya. Fucking part 5 Kaiji. Let's go. I don't remember if you used part 5 imagery. I think you at least you used part 4, if not part 3. I actually don't remember where that one panel is. You know, the panel that has Kyoto and Kazuya going together or whatever. I don't know if that was part 3 or I don't know which part that is. But if you're in the middle of reading Kaiji, my guy, yeah, baby, it's good. It gets really good. I just reread One Poker Part 5, and I cried no less than 5 times. It's very good. I strongly suggest you keep reading afterwards. But this was great, kind of extrapolating on more of the designs, and I think it's great. Sorry, there's not much else to say about it, but yeah, I like it. Mysterious Weeb talked about boxing anime and manga. What a title. I'm sorry, it's just very, yeah, I guess that is boxing anime and manga. I don't know, very, I really want to say generic really badly, but I don't want to offend you. But my guy, I'm struggling to find another word to describe it. I'm such a giggly boy today. Holy crap. I'm in a good mood. As a little miffed as I am that you kind of gloss over Joe and Ippo in this video. I don't know if I don't think you've watched or read through them yet. Maybe you did a little bit. I didn't get a sense of it, though, of how much you've actually tried of those 2 shows, of course. The big titans, big 2, I suppose. But there's others for sure. He talked a little more about Megalobox, which I guess he had seen, and a manhwa called The Boxer. I think is just called The Boxer. Good title. But and talk a little more in detail about that, and as well as the one that came out on Netflix, Levias. Sorry, I haven't seen it myself. We're like 2 puzzle pieces, my guy. I've seen Ippo and Joe, and you've seen Levias and the Boxer. And together we formed the collective consciousness of boxing. Although there are a lot of boxing stuff that you didn't talk about in this video. For example, 1 Pound Gospel by Rumiko Takahashi, Mitsuru Odachi, the guy who's the manga author for Touch and Cross Game and mostly baseball. It's a baseball, but does have some boxing elements to it. Does have some some characters box in his shows, or it might center a little more on boxing or something. But there's some stuff to that for sure. But I like that you talked about that, about stuff that you were more familiar with and didn't try to outright talk out your ass about Ippo or Joe. When you give them their credit, we're like, yes, I know they exist. Everyone's waiting for me to say them. When you title your video "Boxing, Anime, and Manga," makes sense. But I'm happy you didn't have to talk out your ass, right? That was cool. And you just like, this is the stuff I've liked, and this is really cool for this and this reason. So that was a nice video. Comfy. Very nice. I was pretty smitten with this Anime Misfit video. Hololive Apology, Yashahime, Bleach Gets Delayed, and more. Cow. Casual Otaku Weekly for the week. And this is her and her cohort Lamp discussing anime news that they find interesting on Anime News Network, as well as what they've been watching lately, and some upcoming releases and things like that. And it was well structured, but I think the real highlight of this was the dynamic you have between the two of you. I think you guys bounce off really well with each other and have really good conversations. As someone who's been on your podcast before, and I think that's a dynamic that's really missing in a lot of these kinds of videos. This video, the type, right, the idea of going on ANN and coagulating some news sites, some news articles and stuff, and kind of doing a little news show, has been done quite a few times with ranging of success. There really isn't a video like this that has been consistent and popular and quote unquote trusted. Not that you're not trusted, but this is obviously the first time you're doing it, right? So it's like, well, But the thing is, right, a lot of these videos are just one person delivering it straight to you. It's just information. It's just news. But there's a little bit of analysis here. There's a little bit of talking about it, discussing it. I mean, it could happen with these other guys. They could talk about their opinion, I guess. But I like there's a back and forth here, and there's an actual discussion, a little bit of an actual analysis. I think it's great. So that was a really good dynamic, and again, your dynamics are great. So I don't have much else to say about it because it is just kind of what it is. It's news, and you guys talk about it. But it was sweet. I really liked it. It's not cringe. That guy is fucking anonymous. You're cringe. And yeah, finally, talk about an OniMaru video. I saw that he talked about ReZero anime parents done right. And there's already been several people who's talked about this episode or pair of episodes, I suppose. I have not watched it myself yet. I don't know. I'm just not into seasonal anime at the moment, fellas. I'm not very excited to watch season 2 of ReZero, to be honest with you. But hey, no knock on the show outright, really. But these 2 episodes do seem pretty sweet. These do sound pretty kino. And this is also like why I say I would rather watch a show that will be done to completion, because this information that shows up in these 2 episodes 4 years after the show came out, like maybe you could have read the web novel. Okay. But you see what I mean? This is really crucial information. And OniMaru acknowledges it. And I really like that he brings up points he made in a previous video about ReZero. And he's like, I like to update that analysis. And talks about the context of the first few episodes and kind of the context of the rest of the show. And it's like, this is why he acted this way. Because he had these parents and this is how he was raised. This was his life before the isekai, which is always missing. It's always never that I don't know of another isekai that isn't like a retro one, right? Like, Escaflowne, or I haven't seen 12 Kingdoms, but I'm sure there's something like that. You know what I mean? It's very rare for a modern isekai to talk about their protagonist and what their past life actually was like. And maybe you can maybe be like, oh, Yojo Senki, we learned. No. Not what I'm talking about. No, that is not enough. This is This is very deep information that informs the rest of their character. I personally think this is really great. And OniMaru does a great job really discussing it and giving a lot of examples from the show itself. I really liked all the clips you're actually pulling from it and be like, when he says this, right? Thank you. And it's very concise analysis in that way. I will say one tiny thing, and this is like I've always, ever since Hiding in Public made this point of like, oh, my video's only indecent because of this one thing. No, I over the year of making digest, I put videos indecent because those are just my strong feelings on them of me enjoying a video. Best videos are ones that I've enjoyed more than these other videos. I enjoyed your video a moderate amount, and I can't point to any one thing that'd be like whatever. So just these criticisms are these. What I'm about to tell you was not why this is indecent necessarily. Okay, and I will say, I loved the way you started the video, a kind of a minute before you actually started the video. So you have like a very distinctive starting point in the script, and when you get into that point, the way you're performing it and the way you're editing it, it makes it feel very invested and very committed and very like, we're in, right? We're plugged in. Let's go. But that happens like 40 seconds after the beginning of the video, where you're like, hey guys, it's OniMaru, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's talk about this cool thing, you know? And then you get into it. I would rather you kind of start strong, hit the ground running, and then you can do the like, comment, subscribe thing at the end, like a lot of people do. Although I get maybe there's an SEO sort of thing with watch time. I don't know. I'm not an algorithm person. If it works better for you, that's totally cool. I just personally saw it as like a little bit of a, this is meh. I'm not too in, if that, kind of whatever. But then you get into it like, all right, now we're plugged in. Heck yeah. You know what I mean? That was something I'm noticing. I like videos personally where you just kind of, boom, we're in. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, repeating myself a bunch. It's for importance. But the other thing is at the end of the video, it just kind of stops. It was very sudden, very abrupt. And I'm not trying to be like every video needs to have, hey guys, thanks for watching my video. Here's my Patreons and whatever, right? It was just very abrupt for me. I just like the way it didn't have a sense of finality to it. The script, that is. I don't even remember how it ends. It just something about the delivery and the word choice. There's something about it didn't feel very final. So when you cut to black at the end there, it was like, oh, it's over. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it's subtle. It's very video-ish to say this sort of thing where it's like, yeah, whatever. Do you really need that? I like that because it makes me kind of digest like, wow, that was really good. And instead of kind of like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's very vague, but that was something I was noticing about it. But otherwise, really sweet. And I like I said, that doesn't necessarily equate to why it's in whatever place it is or whatever. So I'm happy to finally talk about a video of yours. You're pretty good, man. This is pretty sweet. Looking forward to more stuff, assuming I see it. Hopefully I do. I swear I was subscribed to you, and then I don't remember. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever, man. All right. Yeah, it's good shit. Best Girls Basement. I guess they changed the title, but it's Yazi talking about this anime con. I don't remember, Anime Planet, I think was the name of the con. So Americans threw an anime con this month, ... in the middle of a pandemic. And she gives all the kind of the information, like, yep, it's in Iowa. It's run by this guy in the name. And like, she gives the information pretty well, like pretty succinctly. And so like, I think there's a good utility for this video. Although I also like at the end, she does kind of drop this idea, which was kind of a little bit my issue with the video. But she does drop it at the end and be like, I can't believe these guys are doing this in the middle of a fucking pandemic. How dare you? Like you're increasing the risk of infection and making it so we're going to be closed down for longer. Like, we could be catching up with the rest of these countries all over the world and be in a better position and have fewer cases and fewer deaths. And it's not like, oh, there's only this many deaths, as if 175,000 deaths isn't ungodly amount of death. It's a lot of, I think that's like, it's way more than 9/11 or whatever. But like, never mind how big a number that actually is. Even getting COVID-19 is awful. Like, we're finding that a lot of people are having long-term destruction of their bodies. Like, if you get COVID, there is a chance you will never be able to breathe right the same again. It doesn't matter if you don't... At least I didn't die. I just have debilitating health problems the rest of my life. What the fuck? Don't get COVID. Jesus Christ. Wear a mask. What are you doing? Anyway, I just don't think people understand that this is a crippling illness. This is not a fucking joke. If it was exactly like the flu, we wouldn't be in this situation. Anyway, good Lord. So, like, Yazi takes this very seriously, of course, and I'm happy she does, and she does give a good enough information. I just think she just kind of tiptoes around it too much. I just don't know if she is all that good at this kind of content when it comes to talking about a real life event and really cutting into it. And like, I think she was like, there was too many awkward pauses and like, and it just kind of got milked too much in that way, where the uncomfortableness, whereas like it's an uncomfortable and terrible situation already. You can show it matter of fact. A lot of the clips that you show, like that one clip of them dancing and stuff, like in the con room and stuff, everybody there, not social distancing and shit like that. That sort of footage is horrific on its own. You don't need to have like a woo or anything like that. You just have to show it, and especially I think viewers are smart enough to get the context. My example specifically is this channel called No Gas No Breaks. Amazing channel. He's been going around the country before COVID hit. He was going around the country in a van, in like a camper van, and going to a lot of these crazy conventions like Trump rallies and Trump book signings and conspiracy theories like flat Earth conventions and shit like that, and just interviewing people and just letting them say whatever they want and not saying much in return, and just giving them a platform and kind of exposing this insanity. And he hasn't necessarily slowed down during COVID. Not that he's fully wearing a mask and he's disinfecting as much as possible, but he's interviewing these people in these situations. Like the example I'm thinking of is during the 4th of July, he went to this beach in Michigan that was packed, like shoulder to shoulder of people with no masks and like having the fucking blast. It was horrific if you get the context. And he didn't need any coding or like winking to the camera like, this is bad or whatever, right? You didn't need to do that. You just have to show it. And so I feel like Yazi was a little too heavy-handed in this in some places where it's funny. It's simultaneously heavy-handed and tiptoeing around the subject, because the tiptoeing itself was the heavy-handed part. Like, she was very... I think she dwelled too much on this joke of like showing the name of the organizer of the convention on the screen and be like, what's that? Or I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's kind of belaboring the point a little bit for me. And if this is the first time you're seeing me talk about a video of yours, I always have to mention, in case this is somehow out of context, I've given several of your previous videos very glowing praise, including the gal video that you say in this video that you're not necessarily all that proud of anymore. And I'm like, fair. Everybody has their old content, and they could be cringy and whatever. Everyone look back on their content as cringe or whatever. Totally feel that. But I liked it, and I've given discussion of those in other digests, which are very hard to find. I'm sorry. It will be better. I'm working on something. Hold on. But I have a lot to do. Jesus Christ. Uh, but with this video, I was very happy you talked about it, so that's why it's indecent. I just don't think you articulated all that engagingly for me. It was a bit of a slog for me. But I'm happy you covered it. Yeah, fuck these guys. What the fuck? But hey, I gotta talk about a significant other of yours that put up some heat, some spice, some takes. It's hot. It's Mother's Basement. He's talking about maybe skipping JoJo parts, which, like, I swear I thought he said already, but he implied it in this other video. And he kind of insinuated it. But he didn't go all in until now. And, gosh, he is getting fucking getting annihilated. A lot of people are really angry with him. Not just about this take, but about his reaction to giving this take and kind of being antagonistic about it and not, I guess, being a dick. I haven't necessarily seen that. I think it's been him defending himself from a lot of bullshit. Because, of course, naturally, he's going to get a lot of glib and antagonistic and shitty replies to this idea that, you know, maybe episode 1 is bad. Maybe the first 9 episodes are bad. And maybe you should let people experience things however they want because you shouldn't be able to stop them. And you can't gate them for calling them a real fan if they did that. Or, like, thinking they're wrong for some reason. If they experienced it different from you. There is a optimal way or a correct way. And although, again, Jeff is really saying here, not really. You know, there's a recommended order. It is chronological. Part 1 through 8 is in chronological order. It's not that confusing. It's not like Haruhi, where it's a mixed broadcast or chronological, or fucking Star Wars or Monogatari or something like that. It's very, very deliberately, you know, chronological. But at the same time, I love that the first point that he makes about this is that people got into Dragon Ball through Dragon Ball Z, not through the original Dragon Ball. Can you imagine how shitty a Dragon Ball fan would be if they told you you're not a real fan if you didn't watch the original Dragon Ball? Do you know how many Dragon Ball fans would pounce on them for that? It's just not for them. It's a comedy show. It's way different than what they actually liked, which was Z. And he says in this video, Funimation and the people who brought it over were actually really smart to think that kids would way much like this stuff than Dragon Ball. Not that Dragon Ball is bad. Not that Dragon Ball isn't important. It is. But at the same time, people enjoyed Z without having seen Dragon Ball, right? And if people watch, you know, a lot of us when we were kids watched a random episode of One Piece or a random episode of Naruto. How many of us really started with episode 1 of Naruto? Right? I mean, like, yeah, obviously people who, like, grew up in the age of simulcasts and having access to the whole series in chronological order, sure, you can start from episode 1. It's a no-brainer. But, like, that wasn't the case for decades. Literally decades. Especially with Shonen Jump magazine, which he also brings up. There's just so much correct, I think, in this video. And I think he handles himself very well, very realistically, not antagonistic, not calling out specific people as gatekeepers. Like, so many fucking JoJo tubers took personal offense to this because they were like, you know, I don't think saying you should start with episode 1 is gatekeeping. That's just, it was so dickish. I'm sorry. That's not what he's saying. Like, he's not calling you out as being gatekeeping. The attitude in which people are being holier than thou when people skip JoJo parts and othering them, you know there's memes of this. You know people other them and shame them for doing this. That is gatekeeping. I'm sorry. Like, that's not... I don't think just because you're doing that and perpetuating into that also makes you a bad person. We're not saying that, it's like, what the fuck ever, man. And, like, this is all what's so baffling to me is that this is coming from a guy who really likes JoJo and understands JoJo. His basement order, which has been turned into kind of a meme template, unfortunately, kind of a bad move on his part, honestly. I feel like he should have had a little foresight of that coming, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that wasn't the best move you could have done. But I understand the thought experiment. It is a thought experiment. Although, it's, again, you really should have expected people to take that out of context. But when he describes that order in the right framing, I think it was interesting. I don't think you should shame him for doing that. I think that's gatekeeping if you're shaming him for doing that. That's what I think. I think you're being a dick. And he's not calling anyone a dick here. I don't know where he's using aggressive language or something and he's being an asshole or something. Like, he's just defending his point. And especially because he's getting a lot of fucking hate. Of course he is. I mean, that's the one thing about this video that I'm kind of like about is, like, you knew. You did it for it's like, but I'm mixed on it, really, because on the one hand it's like you should expect the hate your way, and I don't know why you would want to deal with that. I don't know why you would make these controversial topics or something. On the other hand, I'm happy you are. I'm actually happy you're going out of your way and really making a stance on things and really being evocative in a way. I think, like, because the content you've been making for a while now has been very blasé for me. It's been very yeah, of course. Or, well, like, I really like that you defend, if you haven't seen the other digest, or I have to give some context of my history talking about you, I guess. I really, really, really liked your Japan Sinks video, describing it and defending it in the way that you are. And that's those sort of stances and really going against the grain of popular thought, I suppose. Whereas these other videos are like, why we love Haikyuu. I didn't talk about that one, but, like, really? Is there really any contention? Where's the hate train for Haikyuu? Where can I board? No, I'm sorry. Don't. I'm just kidding. I'm just being contrarian. I do like being contrarian, a little underdoggy. And this kind of has some underdog vibes, I think. But I like where you were coming with it. And I'm happy you're kind of sticking your neck out about this idea. And you really described the thought process of you making this decision where it's like, yeah, I was really struggling with whether I should really double down on it or be like, yeah, I'd made an L or something. And you've been doing that for 2 years, ever since you made that first video where you alluded to it. That's been on your mind. And so many people are like, who like didn't watch the whole video or just don't get it, I guess. They're like, why are you doubling down and defending this shitty opinion you have or whatever? And he's like, I've been thinking about this for 2 years and this is my logic for it. So I really appreciate that. That's my take on it, really. Also, full disclosure, I can't really disagree with you here fundamentally because I myself technically skipped parts. Technically. So I wanted to watch part 4. Because I really liked how it looked. A lot of my friends say it's their favorite part. I really wanted to watch it. But I hadn't seen part 3 yet, which is 48 episodes. And didn't look great to me. I don't really like the aesthetic of part 3 all that much. As described in my infamous JoJo video, which is, yeah. But I really wanted to watch part 4. So I was like, well, what's the harm? I'll watch episode 1 of part 4 and watch like 2 episodes of part 3 and watch it as the show airs weekly. That's what I did. And I didn't have any problem. You know what the problem was? Maybe this is a little thing. Maybe I didn't like part 3 all that much because I liked part 4 that much more. I'm like, wow, Araki really gets what he wanted to do with stands. Whereas here, in part 3, the dude is just strong or just uses fire or something. The basic bitch. And, like, not that interesting. It gets a little better in Egypt for sure, but God, no. And I really don't like part 3. But thank God I didn't Granted, I don't drop shows all that much, but I definitely probably would have been fatigued out of JoJo. And there are people like that. There are people like that who are fatigued with JoJo. Sorry, JoJo fans. Surprise! Part 1 isn't all that good. Isn't it weird, this kind of a common sentiment? Don't you think there might be something a little wrong with it if a lot of people are coming away with the same take? Maybe. Just maybe. Anyway, it's just really ridiculous. So I'm on the side of Mother's Basement here. Maybe he sees this, and I fully support what you're doing. I don't know if you remember me giving you really giving you a lot of shit back years ago. And I think I DM'd you a really, really long list of shitty stuff, and you never responded to it. And that was a very, very good call on you, because I was not coming in good faith, I don't think. And I apologize for being rotten. I was being rotten. As much I might still have problems with whatever I was talking, it was happened to be that that first Black Clover video you made. Hated it. But like, sorry. I'm very sorry that happened. I'm very happy that you're sticking your neck out for here, and see how the next few days goes, I guess. Fuck. And last, I'm going to quickly talk about an update video. Shaves in your update videos. Nearly on Red talked about a content campaign that he's been planning for a long time, like about a year, maybe 2, out of the 3 years he's been on YouTube. This is a big deal for him and his channel. He's basically making a 30-week seminar, kind of like functionally like a college class, where he's expecting everybody to watch the movies and TV series and even video games that they're talking about, and engage with the material, and then discuss it in a holistic way. In particular, the content campaign is called Sakura Punk, or I think the alternative was like, Do Weebs Dream of Electric Sakura Blossoms? Something like that. It's kind of funny, kind of cute. But it's basically a cyberpunk themed theme. 30 weeks, with the spine of it, I think, or the majority of it being talking about Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. I think just the first season seemed okay. I don't know why not second gig, but okay. And as well as a number of other cyberpunk films and live action films as well, because it's like, it is a very Eastern and Western genre, so it is important to kind of talk not just about anime and Japanese cyberpunk, but kind of as a holistic idea to really get to the bottom of it, and even timing it very specifically to the release of Cyberpunk 2077, and kind of delving into that and what that game is trying to do. Hopefully it's good, and it adds to the content campaign. But this is a little bit of a pilot and a test drive for him to hopefully ultimately do this on a more serious and long-term basis, which is really exciting. And he's taking it very seriously. I like how planned and specific and broad. I said specific and broad at the same time. I mean specific as like a plan, broad in terms of, I guess broad's not the right word, magnitude. I guess the size and the ambition behind this. 30 weeks of content, streams, big videos, right? And it's really cool. And I'm excited to get on board the content train, woo-woo. I think it's really interesting to see what he's doing, especially on Twitch. It's very rare what he's doing on Twitch. I don't know very many other people who are analyzing and talking about anime on Twitch like this. I really want to try to look at what he's doing and try to do something similar myself. I am looking to kind of branch out into different platforms. Not because I'm tired of YouTube or something, but I think there's some opportunity there. It's something to challenge myself with, I guess. But yeah, that was really sweet to see. Best of luck, Theta. We're rooting for you. And yeah, looking forward to it. IT-ho, let us talk about the best videos of the week. I don't know what that accent was. The first one will go about Sage's Rain. I always think it's like Sage is Rain and then Sage's Rain. It's Sage's Rain. But I always sounded like, no, it's Sage is Rain. Talking about making sense of Neon Genesis Evangelion, Learn to Love Yourself. Uh-oh, another Ava video. But I like this video a good deal because he doesn't really, he doesn't have a shitty take on Ava. But he doesn't try to be all that abrasive about it. And really, I think that, I think he was pretty on the money about the mentalities of the characters, and he was very understanding, and I guess understanding is really the word for it, for episodes 25 and 26, and talking about what Ava's really trying to do psychologically. It's kind of thematically of the kind of the mentality of the characters. I said a bunch of words there. He does make one mention of, it is well documented that Hideaki Anno was depressed during this show, and he's imprinting his character onto Shinji, who is unlike any protagonist before. Who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him? God damn it. If you happen to be watching this and you're like, whoa, what did I do wrong? He's not the first to do this. Shinji is not the first protagonist that didn't want to get in the robot. It happened to be in Mobile Suit Gundam. You know, kind of the 14th highest grossing media franchise on Earth. The very first series. That's what it comes from, and Hideaki Anno specifically takes from that show, because he's a fan of it, of course. Anyway, not that he wasn't depressed. I guess he probably was, but there's a lot of influence that's going on in Evangelion that doesn't necessarily have to link to his depression. Anyway, but I think this was a decent reading of it, and it was only that one mention that, and he didn't dwell on it too much, didn't be like a fuck you to the fans, or dive into a lot of the stuff that other Ava videos do that kind of make it a little problematic. But I think this came out good. And of course, Sage handles these really well, very articulately. I love his performance, his cadence of like very slow, deep talking, and his cadence is great. And I think the prose is good too. Like the way he talks, I think is very like, not like super, I don't know, trite, I guess. It feels very like, I don't know what to describe it. It doesn't feel fake, I guess. It's just like it's not like words to make you sound good. You know, you're not using this extended vocabulary or something. But that was nice. I really enjoyed that especially. I was like, yeah, good Ava. Yeah. And of course, doing their damnedest as usual is Cartoon Cipher with Sea-Dog VA. Is the dub better than the sub? Was this the title last time? Before you re-uploaded it today? But also, what a baity title you got there. Perhaps you're trying to get the algorithm. Methinks, yeah. But this is obviously a dub-sub comparison of Baccano. Kind of, or just, you know, them talking very distinctly about a particular dub in comparison to the subtitles, and constantly improving their craft in this way. And I think they mentioned how, like, there are certain things about the dub that were missed opportunities and were slight missteps in comparison to the sub, and they mentioned them, and certain differences and things like that. And they make this point of, like, it's important that just because you like a dub way more than you do the sub, you have to give the sub credit where there is credit. You have to. Otherwise, you're just going to be looking as biased and not that informed, and no one's going to really want to listen to you or believe you. So I totally feel that. And I was happy you talked about it and how you were like, we're guilty of kind of doing that in the past and understanding certain things. But yeah. And it was really cool to see Connor here. He went more detailed oriented, of course, because this is partly his job. I don't know how many gigs he's had recently. I mean, I think he was in a game recently, so that was cool. But this is his bread and butter. This is his thing. So, and it was, I think it's his favorite dub, or one of his favorite dubs, I think he said. And he really delivered. I really especially like the tack you give about Lad. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen Bach now. But I very much appreciated the tact you had, because the Japanese performer was, I forget his name, unfortunately, but he's the one that passed away fairly recently. The guy who voices Leorio and a couple other guys. Very, very talented guy. Has a lot of really good talent, really good roles and things like that. And he was Lad in Baccano. And I really like that you gave him very fair credit and really acknowledged him, and not just blatant Lad's the best, whatever. And I like the line you say, like, both of them kick ass or something like that. It was cool. But the very specific comparisons you were making, especially the scene by scene stuff, where you literally play the scene over and over again, side by side almost, to really be like describing the differences and really articulating that. I always think that is the best possible evidence or like clarity of what you're talking about. I think when you talk in more general terms, which is what the majority of the video I felt was, where you're talking more holistically about the accents or the decisions that were made. I always think the strongest examples you have is when you show the dub right after the sub or right before the sub, like right next to each other, which was a lot in what Connor was doing. I think that was fantastic. And yeah, I think there was a lot of, obviously it's a Cipher video, so you know exactly what this is, where they have sources from the ADR director and looked at the commentary and are very, very holistic about it and having an understanding of the show and not totally pro dub, which I think a lot of people might assume out of their channel. That's like, just because they're talking about dubs in a positive light means they're pro dub and sucking Funny's cock or whatever. Sorry for that very disturbing image. I swear there's no cocksuckery going on, or boot licking, I suppose, is the more safe for work version. But you're very fair. But you're doing your research. Hey, you guys are the literally gold standard, platinum standard for talking about dubs. I almost don't want to talk about a dub versus sub situation, which, like, I have an idea of something I wanted to do of that in that nature, because there's a particular anime I really care about with the dub versus the sub sort of deal. But, like, I low-key don't want to, because I don't think I'll be able to hold a candle to this shit. Like the amount of information you're getting and the wealth of knowledge you have, especially with Connor. It was very, very smart of you to bring Connor on. You could have done it without him. Definitely. But you were like, no, we really want to include this element to it. And I think it was a great collab. I fucking love collabs. Yeah. So of course, some great shit, my guy. Speaking of collabs, of course I'm gonna love GabbyElla's "What It Means to Be an AniTuber" video, featuring other AniTubers, and a lot of people that are under a K. I think there was one person at 2K. Yes. But that was great. I was happy to hear from you and your experience and your background at Gabby of, like, you know, I started wanting to make AMVs, and then, you know, my computer broke down, things happened, so I hadn't uploaded in a long time, and I came back in part because there was great people there and I wanted to immerse myself with them and become friends with them and talk about stuff in this sort of community. And that's the shit. That's it, my girl. I usually say my guy, but you know, would it be? No, but I really like that you then handed the mic over to other people and let them talk about what anime YouTube means to them and what it means to be in this community and the value they've taken out of it. I also like that you didn't necessarily. I think like that you brought up the Trash Taste podcast about their take on small YouTube and kind of the circle jerk nature of it, and kind of pushing against it, not outright canceling them, going after them or something like that, but just being like, nah, you know, they say that, but this is what the reality is. This is the sphere we're actually in. It is a sphere, but that doesn't mean it's a circle jerk. That's just because it's the same geometrical. This is because they have geometrical similarities. Does not imply. Oh man, I'm cracking myself up, dude. Does anyone even laugh at this thing? Like, stone-faced. Like, I hope he gives this video best of the week. No. Yeah, but like, I liked that that you had other people talk about it afterwards and what they were experiencing. I think I subbed to everybody. Everybody check this video out and see these people, and if they seem like some cool people, check them out and subscribe. Like and subscribe. No, yeah, but that's some good shit. I'm very happy to see that. I don't have too much else to say about it. Of course, I love it because it's the good shit. God, can you I bet you'd be smashed if you took a drink every time I said good shit. Every time. In this video alone. Lord. Yes, I loved it. And heck, why not? Let's give it to Metahulk AMV Mad Cafeteria. It's the Nakey Jakey song that he's using for this AMV. And I noticed the influence. I remember that AMV, the music video for Cafeteria, where Nakey Jakey uses the VLC Media Player window thing and doing some cool stuff with that and different things and things like that. But you did it for anime, and that's really sweet. And so like watching the whole video, I think the thing that was like disconnecting me from it a little was what's the cohesion here? What's the similar factor? Like why Death Note and Howl's Moving Castle and whatever that show was and whenever that show was and what's all this? You know? It turns out it's a collab of sorts, and you sort of reveal this towards the end. But in the description specifically, you do mention this, where what it is you said on Twitter, I remember this, but then I never connected the dots. I just didn't. I'm a dum-dum, okay? I'm a brain of a monkey. Ape brain. I don't know. But you put a thing on Twitter that was like, give me your favorite moments of anime, and I'll make an AMV out of it. And a lot of people responded and gave you their favorite scenes, and then you had to make something together with a dope song, as you say. And yeah, it comes across pretty freaking sweet. I do think the first minute is definitely the strongest with in terms of like, no, I don't know anybody else that was doing besides Jakey, of course. That was doing this whole VLC thing and playing with those with that dynamic and kind of dancing with them and doing different scenes like that, and really good shit. I might be inundated with other stuff. Like I might have kind of an upper echelon of like taste, I guess, when it comes to like Gil is one of my favorite anime YouTubers. Hazel Never Talks is very, very much becoming one of my favorite as well, and I was very tempted to talk about one of her 4 or 5 videos she made this week. What are you doing, Hazel? Jeez Louise. Not like a good thing. Like, whoa, the output's insane. And it's all different. It's not like, woo. It's like, whoa. And kind of pushing some shit. It's crazy what she's doing over there. But I gotta give some credit. There's some pretty good cuts here. Some pretty nice stuff, my guy. I especially liked everything you were doing with Hoseki no Kuni, actually. Like there's this one where you zoom into I forget her name, Onyx? I don't know, Obsidian? I don't remember her name. Zoom in on her eye, and I was like, hey, cool. And there was this one where she kind of comes into frame after a couple explosions or something. I forget. I only watched it once. As I do with these videos. What it be? And it was also a while ago. So I was dealing with bullshit. And anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed it for sure. Oh, the Ava stuff you were doing, which is kind of alluded to in this in the thumbnail here, is also really sick. Heck yeah, my guy. God. I'm just thinking about all the hot phrases I keep doing, like sick, my guy, and whatever. Anyway, yeah, I liked this a ton, of course, and I'm very happy you jumped in. I hope the bug got caught. You know what I mean? It is very satisfying making this shit. I swear, dude. So I hope you caught the bug and maybe make some cool stuff. But this is already a very good bar to be set at. Already really promising. Good, really awesome. I really didn't want to say good shit for like the 80th time. Didn't want to kill my drinking game buddies. But I did just say it just now, so oh well, I'm sorry. Really nice job, I need to get better words. I really do. God. End the video, God, already. Yes! Thank you for watching this episode of AniTube Digest. Let me see what the date is. I got one more week. Technically. Yeah, well. No, yeah, I have 2 weeks. I have next week, and then the week after is a special. It's a very good time. But thank you to my patrons for joining me and supporting this endeavor, including Beamburst, Aiko, Flugmorph, Hazel, Jawburst, Kuiper, Conra, Kazuki, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Unique Nameosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. Thank you all very much for watching. You have a good week. Yo, peace.